there comes a pivotal moment in life when you begin to see reality with different eyes. This awakening doesn't happen because the external world has transformed, but rather because the protective mask of your family identity starts to slip away. What you once believed was unconditional love and belonging reveals itself as something far more complex and troubling. That security you felt, that warmth you thought surrounded you, was frequently nothing more than your own nervous system working overtime to maintain connection with others. This realization marks the beginning of a profound journey, one where you start to understand that genuine compassion wasn't modeled in your upbringing. Instead, you were conditioned within a framework that demanded total compliance in return for any scraps of affection. The terror of abandonment becomes the invisible force controlling every interaction, every decision, every aspect of how you present yourself to the world. Your family, particularly if shaped by narcissistic dynamics, wasn't simply your first social group. It functioned as the primary training ground for emotional manipulation. The family unit became a laboratory where you learned that love isn't freely given, but must be constantly earned through obedience and self-sacrifice. Long before we develop language to name divinity or discuss spiritual matters, we experience the fundamental dynamics of godhood through our parents. The faces we see hovering above us in our cribs become our cosmos. The moon transforms into a symbol of approval or rejection. The mother's voice becomes the ocean of comfort or the depths of despair. These early experiences create an autonomous entity within us that knows nothing about the external world, but everything about internal terror. The child growing up in a narcissistic environment faces a reality distorted by an impossible mathematical equation. Love must be continuously earned through unwavering invisibility. To exist safely in this world means to make yourself smaller, quieter, more convenient. You arrive in this life utterly dependent on those who should nurture you unconditionally. And you're immediately informed, whether explicitly or implicitly, that this dependency itself is your burden to manage. The inherent message becomes clear. The empath is fundamentally a gift that has been traumatized into existence. Empathy isn't simply heightened sensitivity to others' feelings. It represents the cultivated ability to anticipate needs, absorb emotional turbulence, and intuitively understand unspoken dynamics. These capabilities don't emerge from natural compassion alone, but evolve as survival mechanisms developed in response to volatile, unpredictable caregivers. Your psyche, in its desperate attempt to create safety, develops sophisticated internal antennae. You become hypervigilant, constantly scanning environments for signs of approaching emotional storms. This hyper-attunement to others serves a critical protective function. If you can predict the narcissist's moods, perhaps you can avoid their wrath. If you can meet their needs before they're even voiced, perhaps you'll finally receive the approval you crave. However, underneath this heightened awareness lies profound terror, the fear of abandonment that drives every people-pleasing behavior, every self-sacrificing choice, every moment where you betray your own needs to accommodate someone else's demands. If this resonates with you, if you're recognizing these patterns in your own relationships, you're not alone. Every week on the Inner Wise Woman channel, we dive deep into topics like this: understanding relationship dynamics, healing from toxic patterns, and stepping into your authentic power. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video, where we'll explore how to rebuild your self-worth after narcissistic relationships. Your healing journey matters, and this community is here to support you every step of the way. Now, let's continue. The narcissistic family operates on carefully constructed illusions. It must continuously project an image of harmony to the outside world while maintaining rigid control within its private walls. One parent, typically wounded by their own unresolved trauma, assumes the role of the disguised tyrant. This individual appears dedicated to the family's well-being, but actually orchestrates a complex system of control where every member performs their designated function. The various family members become unwitting actors in predetermined roles. The golden child mirrors the parent's idealized self-image, reflecting back the perfection they desperately need to believe in. The scapegoat absorbs all the family's unacknowledged dysfunction, carrying the psychological weight that everyone else denies. These children don't simply heal their parents' wounds. They become living vessels for ancestral trauma that has been passed down through generations. To function as an empath within such a structure means accepting the role of emotional priest. You must constantly perform atonement for transgressions you never committed. The unconscious agreement becomes brutally simple. You sacrifice your authentic self at the altar of family cohesion. You whisper in the darkness of your own pain, while publicly declaring that compassion was freely taught and naturally received. This covenant demands that you believe you can heal through the purity of your love alone. If you could just love deeply enough, completely enough, silently enough, surely you could mend the broken hearts surrounding you. But redemption always remains frustratingly out of reach, perpetually promised, but never delivered. You become not the savior of your family's dysfunction, but its carrier, its living receptacle. Every suppressed emotion, every unexpressed need, every unresolved trauma becomes lodged within your nervous system like fragments of shrapnel. Each piece carries the imprint of someone else's pain, a relic of their unfinished psychological work. Yet something profoundly sacred exists even within this distortion. The empath is not merely a broken person, but an archetypal figure who has absorbed mythological proportions of suffering. You were essentially abducted into an underworld not of your choosing, forced to reclaim what others abandoned. This mirrors ancient myths about descent and resurrection, death and spiritual rebirth. The fallen angel archetype resonates deeply here, that aspect of divine consciousness that chose or was chosen to experience separation from wholeness so that a greater awareness might eventually emerge. You inherited this existential burden not because you were inherently flawed, but because you possessed the capacity to see and feel beyond the limitations others imposed. When you finally permit yourself to recognize that your compassion emerged from fear rather than freedom, a remarkable alchemical process initiates. The emotions you've projected outward to manipulate and control others' perceptions of you begin to transform internally. You acknowledge the emperor's nakedness. Your family's carefully constructed illusions weren't signs of love, but sophisticated mechanisms for evading their internal chaos. Just as you previously needed to rescue wounded souls to feel purposeful, you were simultaneously born into a family system designed specifically to trap you in perpetual caretaking. Your shadow, those aspects of yourself you've denied and suppressed, played identical roles within the same tragic narrative. The Emperor's awakening begins when you cease performing these predetermined parts. Allowing yourself to detach from functioning as your parent's emotional caretaker doesn't constitute cruelty. It represents an essential act of individuation, of claiming your right to exist as a separate person, with needs, boundaries, and an identity independent from their unresolved trauma. This detachment fundamentally differs from the narcissist's dismissive abandonment of others. You're not rejecting your parents as human beings, but rather refusing to continue absorbing their unprocessed pain. You're declining to sacrifice yourself on the altar of their dysfunction. You're saying no to the inherited mandate that your worth depends entirely on your utility to others. A greatest deception within narcissistic family systems is the promise of eventual redemption. If you could just understand deeply enough, forgive completely enough, love unconditionally enough, perhaps then you would finally receive the acknowledgement you've always craved. Perhaps then the emotional investment you've made would yield returns. But this represents another layer of manipulation. The narcissistic parent cannot offer genuine acknowledgement because doing so would require them to confront their own psychological wounds. They cannot see you as a separate individual with legitimate needs because your function within their internal world is to serve as an extension of themselves, existing solely to regulate their emotional states. One of the most difficult realizations on this journey involves accepting that your parents operated from profound limitation. They couldn't give you what they themselves never received. They couldn't model healthy emotional expression because they never learned it. They couldn't offer unconditional love because they were taught that love must be perpetually earned through performance and compliance. This recognition doesn't excuse their behavior or minimize the damage done. Rather, it provides context that helps you understand the systemic nature of the dysfunction. The narcissistic parent is simultaneously perpetrator and victim, inflicting upon their children the same emotional violence that was once inflicted upon them. Your awakening represents more than personal healing. It signifies a break in the generational transmission of trauma. By refusing to continue performing the roles assigned to you, by declining to pass this dysfunction forward to future relationships or potential children, you interrupt a pattern that may have persisted through multiple generations. This interruption requires immense courage because it means standing alone. The family system will resist your transformation, often intensifying their manipulation to pull you back into compliance. Other family members may accuse you of selfishness, ingratitude, or cruelty for establishing boundaries. They may weaponize family loyalty, cultural expectations, or religious obligations to shame you back into your designated role. Walking away from or fundamentally restructuring your relationship with a narcissistic family creates profound loneliness. The connections you thought were unshakable reveal themselves as conditional. The love you believed was foundational proves to have been transactional all along. This loneliness, while painful, also creates necessary space. In the absence of constant pressure to perform, to anticipate others' needs, to manage everyone's emotions, you finally encounter yourself. Who are you when you're not functioning as someone else's emotional support system? What do you actually want when you're not trying to earn love through self-sacrifice? The journey toward authentic selfhood begins in this emptiness. You must grieve the family you wish you'd had while accepting the family you actually received. You must mourn the childhood that was stolen, the innocence that was corrupted, the spontaneity that was suppressed. This grieving process isn't linear or neat. You'll cycle through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance multiple times, often experiencing several stages simultaneously. Some days you'll feel strong and clear in your boundaries. Other days, you'll doubt yourself, wondering if perhaps you were the problem all along, questioning whether you're being too harsh or unforgiving. True compassion, you discover, doesn't mean accepting abuse or tolerating mistreatment. Genuine empathy doesn't require you to absorb others' unprocessed emotions. Authentic love doesn't demand self-annihilation. You can simultaneously hold compassion for your parents' wounded histories while maintaining firm boundaries against their harmful behaviors. You can understand the generational trauma that shaped them without allowing that understanding to excuse their treatment of you. You can wish them well while protecting yourself from their dysfunction. This nuanced position challenges the black and white thinking that often characterizes family systems. You're taught to either accept everything unconditionally or reject completely. The middle path, maintaining connection where possible, while protecting your well-being, seems impossible or disloyal. As you separate from the family's emotional enmeshment, you must reconstruct your entire internal world. The beliefs you held about love, safety, worthiness, and relationship all require examination and revision. You discover that many of your supposed preferences, values, and personality traits were actually adaptive strategies designed to minimize conflict and maximize approval. Who are you beneath these survival mechanisms? What brings you genuine joy rather than temporary relief from anxiety? What relationships feel nourishing rather than depleting? These questions guide your reconstruction process. Many people navigating this journey discover unexpected spiritual dimensions. Having been betrayed by the first gods you knew, your parents, you may have developed complicated relationships with concepts of divine love, universal support, or spiritual guidance. Some find that healing involves completely deconstructing religious frameworks that were weaponized to enforce compliance. Others discover authentic spirituality for the first time, connecting with something greater than themselves in ways that feel genuinely supportive rather than controlling. The spiritual wound of narcissistic parenting cuts deep because it distorts your fundamental trust in the universe. If the people who are supposed to love you most treated you as an object to be used, how can you trust in any greater benevolence? Perhaps the most challenging aspect of healing involves rebuilding self-trust. You were systematically taught to doubt your perceptions, dismiss your feelings, and prioritize others' needs over your own. Your intuition was consistently invalidated. Your boundaries were routinely violated. Your reality was perpetually denied. Learning to trust yourself again means honoring the small whispers of discomfort, respecting your own limits, and believing your memories even when others insist they're wrong. It means choosing integrity over approval, truth over peace, authenticity over acceptance. This process unfolds gradually through countless small choices. Each time you speak your truth despite fearing rejection, you strengthen self-trust. Each time you honor a boundary despite guilt, you rebuild internal authority. Each time you validate your own experience despite external pressure to minimize it, you reclaim your reality. Paradoxically, the very sensitivity that made you vulnerable to narcissistic wounding also becomes your greatest gift once healed. Your capacity for deep empathy, your ability to read emotional undercurrents, your skill at holding space for complex feelings. These qualities, when no longer driven by fear, become powerful tools for connection and service. The difference lies in your motivation and boundaries. Previously, you employed these abilities to earn love and avoid abandonment. Now you can choose when, how, and with whom to share your empathic gifts. You can offer support without sacrificing yourself. You can hold compassionate space without absorbing others' pain. Awakening from narcissistic family dynamics isn't a destination, but an ongoing journey. You don't heal completely and move on unchanged. Rather, you develop increasing awareness, stronger boundaries, deeper self-knowledge, and more authentic relationships over time. Some days the old patterns will resurface. You'll catch yourself people-pleasing, over-explaining, or shrinking to accommodate someone else's ego. These moments don't represent failure, but opportunities for continued growth. Each time you recognize and redirect these patterns, you strengthen your commitment to authentic living. The child you once were, the one who learned that love must be earned through self-abandonment, still exists within you. But now, as the adult you've become, you can offer that wounded child what your parents couldn't: unconditional acceptance, genuine compassion, and unwavering protection. In reparenting yourself, you break the generational curse and create new possibilities, not just for yourself, but for all the relationships that follow. If you made it to the end of this video, it means you're ready to see the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. That takes courage, and I honor you for that. The Inner Wise Woman channel is dedicated to women like you who are committed to breaking free from toxic patterns, reclaiming their power, and building the life they truly deserve. Subscribe now and join thousands of women who are on this same journey of transformation. Every week, we release new content on feminine energy, healing, boundaries, self-worth, and creating healthy relationships. This isn't just about understanding what went wrong, it's about building what comes next. Click that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up if it helped you, and drop a comment below telling me which test hit closest to home for you. I read every single comment, and your story matters. Remember, you don't have to stay small to be loved. You don't have to sacrifice yourself to be worthy. You already are. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay grounded in your truth.